Hey guys, it's Coach Reginald Sweet here, Boys and Girls Clubs of Mitchell County. I am the Teen Center Unit Director. We are in the midst of our college/career fair, and I have with me now, all the way from Macon, Georgia. Man, I'm telling you, man, it's one of my personal friends, and I was so glad that he had time to take out of his busy schedule to come and talk to us and give us some information. On not only college but career. And this very knowledgeable guy, and he's in a very I would say somewhat exciting career. He graduated from Warner Robins High School and went to Georgia Southern University, has a degree in broadcasting, and now he is the sports director at WMAZ TV in Macon, Georgia. Y'all, please help me welcome Mr. Marvin L. James the second. That means there's a couple of more before him. To the Boys and Girls Clubs of Mitchell County College Career Fair. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, brother. How are you? Glad to be on here with you.
I'm well, man. I'm well. I am grateful that you took time out of your busy schedule to talk to our teens and to give them a bit of information, a bit of your know-hows and your advice on some of the things and some of the steps they need to take to higher education, and if they looking into jump into the media world, some advice you can give them. So it's on you, sir.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate that introduction. Not only are we good friends and colleagues, I'm also a fan of you and your work. So I appreciate everything that you do in the world of communication with your amazing spoken word and poetry, good brother. So props to you on that.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. I try to do a little something.
You do more than try, bro. But that's a whole other thing. We'll talk about that later. But how are you guys doing? My name is Marvin James. I am a sports director for WMAZ TV in Macon, Georgia, a CBS affiliate. I work for the company of Tegna, which Tegna owns USA Today, one of the largest newspaper companies in the country. One of the things that got me into the field of work, I'll go back a little bit to high school. When I first got into or had the idea of it, was a teacher sowed a seed into me. I was a senior in high school. We were playing, we were getting ready to play what is a powder puff football. The guys were coaching, and the young ladies were getting ready to play a team. We're going to play our crosstown rival for a big game for a fundraiser. Well, at the time, I didn't want to be into coaching. I didn't really want to do the coaching. Coaching has never really been my thing. I love the game. I love sports, but I just didn't want to do the coaching. So I said I was going to go take my little boom box and go up to the press box and be the press announcer for the game. So I was going to introduce everybody. I was going to play my little music in between, and I was going to call out the first downs and plays. And that's where I got my first taste of being in communication. So as I started to do that, I came back down to the field after the game, and my teacher came up, my English teacher, Mrs. Keener at the time. She told me, this is what you need to do. This is what you need to do. And I said, I joked and said, well, you saying I got a voice for radio? She said, no, I'm just telling a face for radio. She said, no, this is what you need to do. So she planted that seed, because before then, that was the front part of my senior year in November, December. I didn't really have a clue of what I wanted to do going into college. I thought I did, but I really didn't. But she laid the foundation for communication, and that was ever since. I went to Georgia Southern. I did have a radio show down there for a little while, and then I got my degree in broadcasting, and then I was able to go from there to have a couple of offers right out of college. And I went to Macon because at the time I'm from Warner Robins, so I said, I'll come back closer to home. My wife, who was teaching at the time, was teaching in a neighboring county in Central Georgia. So I've been here 21 years at the station, and I've been able to do different things from all over the place. I came in initially as a photojournalist, That's the guy who carries the big camera and runs around with the reporter. And we would tag team and do stories, throughout the day and cover different. We were general assignments, so we covered everything different under the sun. Every day was something different to cover. We would cover a woman having, quintuplets on one day to somebody winning, $8.9 million in the lottery the next day to a triple homicide. So it was definitely a roller coaster of emotions and a roller coaster of information that we had to get out to the community. So 21 years later, I'm still at it. It gives me great pride to know that I am helping to serve my community and inform them at the same time.
Absolutely, man. When I was working for Fox, and having those, like you're saying, those ups and downs, you would go from one story to another story, and it run a gauntlet of emotions in the span of a day.
Yes,
and so I understand the rigors that being a journalist and anything, a cameraman or anything that's involved with media. I understand, the rigors that come along with that. So how did you transition into the sports and sports director role?
Yeah, definitely. Transitioning to sports was something that it was always a lower level for me. To me, it was kind of like the lower hanging fruit. It was something that I really knew well, but I was like, I don't want to do that because I already know that. So let me just kind of keep that away from my career. But I think the years and years of writing, of producing, of innovating different stories, and help me with the storytelling to where the opportunity came up for me in sports. I had to take it. We have this big show on football during the football season. It's called Football Friday Night, which is a football show that we highlight all our football programs, their games, head-to-head games and highlights in the fall after the newscast, and that's really big. Well, my colleague, the main anchor that is a producer of the show, asked me to, hey, Marvin, I know you shoot the games. Why don't you just, you're shooting the games, you're writing the games. Why don't you start, producing the games and actually, being an anchor for the talent for the games? And I was like, nah, I really don't want to do that. I'd rather, just write and kind of be behind the scenes. And I sat down and thought about it for a while. And I said, you know what, when do you ever get a chance, to be on television because somebody's asking you to? There's some really want this opportunity. I said, I'll take the chance to do it. If I don't like it, that's fine. But, at least don't have any regrets in your life and say that you didn't take an opportunity. Because at the same time, there's not a lot of opportunities to see, African Americans on TV doing something positive. So, I said, this is an opportunity for me to do that. So we started doing that in small bits and roles just in the fall. And our sports guy, the next time around, next year around, he got a job offer in Jacksonville, and that left an opening at the station. And they said, hey, Marvin, we need you to fill in. We don't have anybody right now. And I was like, you guys told me just football. I don't know too much about golf. I don't know too much about NASCAR. Me and baseball ain't like that. So, what you want me to do? And they said, listen, just hold on. Just take care of us right now, and we'll get somebody in, and you can go back to your regular thing. But we really need some help right now. And I knew that. You know how it is. Sometimes working for a small station, you wear many different hats, and you cover different things. One day you may be putting groceries in the vending machine. You don't know what you're gonna do that day.
Right.
So I said, you know what, I'll do it. And it turned into a passion, it turned into a love, and it reminded me because I had gone through the same thing myself as a student athlete in Central Georgia, where I used to run home and watch the sports and see my teams and my colleagues on. So that's what made me fall in love with it, because I knew that I had an opportunity to showcase kids and put these teams and programs on for the first time. And you know how that. Talk about all the negative things that happen when we have to cover the news. People don't want you there. People don't want you coming around when you're doing cleanup for a storm or some kind of tragedy that's happened. But sporting events, they welcome you in with open arms. It's not too many times I get too many cussing out because I show up at a baseball game or a basketball game or a soccer game, whatever. So it definitely was more reassuring, and it definitely has given me a lot of great memories.
Now for those students who might be listening and watching, and parents alike, what advice would you give those parents and those students, or those students who are getting ready to go transition to the next level of their education? What advice would you give them in determining whether or not, journalism, mass comm, whether those areas of study are right for them?
I think it's right, and for all of us, in some way, shape, or form, public speaking is extremely important. Even your churches have Toastmasters, something that you should always look into. You should always look into have an opportunity to speak in front of lots of people. I know it's not something that everybody likes to do, but it's extremely important, not only for matters and times like these, but for job interviews. Sometimes, those are your chances and opportunities when you're mingling to sell yourself as an individual. And you have to be able to do that with effective communication. That's eye contact, that's shaking hands. And I know you probably teach that a lot. Hey, look at me when you shake my hand, or talk to me when you're doing that to some of these to our younger generation. And that's not a slap in the face. That's not, putting them down. I think that it's important because in our society. So those are some good bases. If nothing else, because that's going to help you longer down. When I was at Georgia Southern, the building was media center, was like 2 double wide trailers put together, and it was small. And I said, but folks are going to come and need us, in every facet of life that they do, whether you're a teacher, whether you are an engineer, whether you are in business, you're going to need us to help you to communicate and effectively get your word across. So that is one of the bases of everything that you should do. So I think that is something you should always consider. And the media, as you know, the media is taking a beating from a lot of people across the country. A lot of our leadership has been attacking us in the media and saying the fake news and all that good stuff. So we're definitely in a fight right now to definitely show that we are, out there for truth and out there for the right reasons and not out there to manipulate. So this industry is important because it's one of our founding principles of this great country to let people know how we can, exhibit our rights and speak on our behalf, because, the freedom of press is something that if it is continued to be, threatened, it, can really bring turmoil to this country. So that's something that I think if you're up for a challenge for the truth and to educate and inform and keep people safe, I think that's something that you should always consider.
Great information. Great information. And last but not least, before we get out of here, again, we thank you for taking time out, joining us, and dropping these nuggets on us. How do if just say I have a student and he comes to me and he says, Coach, I really want to get into journalism and mass comm of that nature, but I don't know where to start.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where to start. I don't know how to get into it. What would that advice look like? What would that advice look like for if you're telling me this is what you should tell?
Okay. I think the advice is so wide and vast today as it compares to us when we were kids asking that question. I mean, you have the World Wide Web, you have the internet right now. There's so many different forms of media that are out there that, kids can take a chance and opportunity to perfect their skills and enhance their skill set. And with that being said, there's so many YouTube channels, you could have blogging and vlogging, video blogging. And then there's podcasts. There's so many different things that we didn't have an opportunity to touch or have a chance to do it. It was either we wanted to be on radio at that time or do something with TV. But there's so many things that you don't have to necessarily wait for the industry to invite you on in to do. You can do this at home. Everybody who has a cell phone right here, which is basically a computer, that can allow you to do anything and everything in itself. But I would encourage you to contact your local television stations, your local newspapers, your local medias of magazines, and ask them, hey, can I come over and can I shadow you, for a week's time, or if you're in college, hey, I get home for Thanksgiving and Christmas break such and such time. Would it be okay if I come and sit with you guys a couple of hours a day so I can kind of just monitor what you're doing? You will be surprised that how so many people will be open and receptive to those things to let you to come in and learn what you would want to do. There's so many times you get a chance to mirror things that you had no clue what was going on. When I first got into the industry, I said no, I didn't want to do news because news was too negative. I didn't want anything to do with it. I'd rather go into production. I'd rather go into marketing and sales and shoot commercials. But negative. And when you're working inside the newsroom, you got a chance to have some control of that narrative of what's going on out there, and report some of the more positive news that's out there. You have a voice that you can bring to the table, and as myself being African American, I have a voice that needs to be heard. So when I come to that meeting and there's other people that are not of color in that meeting, I can go ahead and educate them at this time that why this is important and why this is cultural and why this is the way that we should go through things. So I would encourage you to definitely reach out to people. Even if you see someone, your favorite reporter, your favorite anchor man, send them an email, send them a message. You would be surprised how many times they will return that and say, hey, look, come on through. I would have no problem, listening to you and helping you get to where you want to be.
Man, listen, I thank you so much, man, Mr. Marvin. Thank you for joining us and giving us your insight. I would love to in the upcoming future maybe have a Zoom where you can demonstrate how you put together a whole story, how you cut, how you do B-rolls, how you do all those things. So just a little behind the scene type information, because we see what's shown, but a lot of times we don't know how it's put together to put on the television as we see it. So I think our members will really, really get a kick out of that and enjoy seeing that.
Yeah, I'll work on that, man. I can work on that. Right now I'm working from home, so it's a little different, but the process is still the same. And it starts by coming off with an idea, and some of those ideas come from conversations, come from Facebook posts, come from just somebody sharing something with you, a national idea, something that's going on a larger scale, and then you localizing it to saying, hey, this is important around here too. So I can do that same concept of a story that's happening on a national scale. So yeah, I think that's very important that they know. And then, as you know, all the hands that go into it, from production to, post-production to, the director, all that good stuff. Audio, there's a whole lot of hands that go into this one story. And, people with the voice and the face on it get all the credit, but it's a whole lot of other people that deserve that too.
Right. It's almost like the football players, the quarterback and the running back gets exactly. to shine, and receivers get to shine, but no one very, very rarely do they say anything about the lineman. Yeah. Open up the holes and protect quarterbacks. So.
Yeah, until there's a missed punch or until you cut somebody off, right?
Right. Listen, I appreciate you, sir, for joining us and sharing with us during this virtual college/career fair. I thank you so much. Listen, if we have any members that would like to contact you personally, share some information how they can contact you.
Absolutely. On Instagram and on Twitter, I'm at SportsGuyMarv, one word, at SportsGuy, and then MARV. And then if you want to email me at sportsguymarv.com at gmail.com. So it's all, just remember at SportsGuyMarv, and you should be able to find me anywhere on social media.
All right. Thank you, sir. We appreciate you. You have a great, wonderful, wonderful rest of your evening. And thank you again for joining the Boys and Girls Clubs of Mitchell County.
All right, brother. Y'all be safe down there too.
Yes, sir.